called Brevitas. So I really know how very well virtually, because the 1st and the 15th of every month, we throw out, it can be 2 poems, but it's often just 1. And we throw it out there, maximum 14 lines with title, and feedback, comments, edits are welcome. So I've been doing that since 2013, March. I think Ron's a newbie, but Hal's been at it since the beginning, I believe. We celebrated 11 years in 2014. And I know I heard Hal in New York back probably 10 years ago at an annual Brevitas festival. They just have an annual festival. They have a kind of a handsome anthology now. In the beginning, it looked like it was stapled at Staples. But still, Hal was always part of that. And I don't know if you all know this, but Hal was Poet Laureate of Queens, New York. He's quite famous and funny, as you can see. But and I believe his a prominent book is Mother Said. And are you working on Father Said, or is it out? And you did Father Said. Okay, it's downstairs. But Mother Said, you know, when I was all excited to be here tonight reading with Hal and to meet his wife, who's also a poet, Minner. Ron's a pal of mine. I think we're 2 poets who drink a lot at the readings. It's always nice to see one of those, you know, when Ron's around, it's like, okay, I'll take that second. But, some places we have minimums, but Ron and I usually have no problems with the minimum. But anyhow, it's great to be here, and I want to thank Big Blue Marble Bookstore and Elliot at Zedek for inviting us and welcoming us, and you know, it's great to be in this cute community. Thank you to my friends who came. I'm an XPN member, WXPN. I went to South America with 3 people here in the room. I've got one of my sisters, my mother's private aide from years ago I've remained friends with, and everyone else. Peter's another poet. Thank you for your support. So welcome everyone. And I'm not going to be as funny as Hal, but I'll try. I have a new poetry book out, Kamikaze Dance, and as I usually tell people, kamikaze, the origin of that word goes back centuries, and it was divine wind before, you know, it became something, you know, we know today. So that's the reference in my book, The Divine Wind, and it's published by Finishing Line Press. I was a finalist in their annual New Women's Voices competition. So here it goes. I'm going to start out with Tulsa Bound. On the road 5 days a week, destination Calgary, Cleveland, Kansas City. Living in hotels and eating in chain restaurants, I centralized my life to join audit teams and my first real job with a local oil company. For a year and a half, I unearthed new cultures, drink and drive towns, and learned to dance this two-step and Cotton Eye Joe, experienced Tulsa's harsh heat. Nearly a century after my paternal grandfather renounced his allegiance to the king in Oklahoma's Indian Territory, I swore off work with conformists and plotted a move to Italy. And this is from my first book, Views from the Driveway, and it's called Continental Drifting. And timeline, I did make it to Italy. It was mid-90s Milan. A most ardent sun, expressive men, living to eat, drew me to the breast of the Mediterranean peninsula. Late dinners end in rucola, drenched in olive oil. I baptized mornings at Cookie's Pasticceria with a double espresso macchiato, served civilly in white china cups by a barista who has the milk steaming before I reach the counter. Tireless and city-bound for the first time, my feet yield to flat shoes which call for shorter skirts as I walk everywhere. Trains whisk me to medieval cities or storybook lakeside towns, flanked by the ever-present church steeple. The dry cleaner knows my name and addresses me as Dottoressa. I lose touch with American pop music and adapt to the sugary strains of Eros Ramazzotti, the throaty voice of Zucchero, and likable hip-hop from Giovanotti. Sacred lazy Sundays call for fewer newspapers, There's too much political coverage. I anticipate Mondays when the Sunday New York Times arrives at Fairchild. Secrets bubble to the surface. So many cultural myths abound. Dare I reveal the truth? The Italians are work and status obsessed, impatient creatures. Trust is fleeting, holds little value. I learned to always count my change, greedily guard my place in line at banks, the post office, and gelaterie. I demand refunds when the supermarket scanner errs, and resent having to cart around a receipt for a coffee because I live in the land of tax cheats. Obsessively dependent, the men are arrogant and provincial. They don't really love women. They marry for prestige. The women are bitchy, smoke too much, and aren't as submissive as the movies make out. They marry for money. Most Milanese parks are poorly manicured, barren, bereft of character. Dog droppings litter the cragged sidewalks. Community remains a political expression. Only the family counts. Neighborhood isn't an Italian concept. Natives say Milan's beauty is all hidden. It's there, but you have to peek into private courtyards. But I'm from Pennsylvania, the land of woods. I take green for granted and need it. Chatter on cell phones breaks the quiet of my evening strolls home. On trains, grandmothers and young soldiers alike talk incessantly into them. Breaking the peace of my weekend sojourns, I think those ridiculous contraptions would never go over in the U.S. The Times guides me as I plot my return stateside. My Milan apprenticeship has readied me for a glamorous city somewhere on the East Coast. Oh, it's got to be New York at this point. I celebrate my departure with a year of parties and intimate dinners to salute friends, acquaintances, colleagues, cousins, all connoisseurs of red wine, pasta, and the art of long vacationing. I could have used another 9 years to say proper goodbyes. Computer talk bridges the transatlantic gap. 4 times a week, we report from our self-imposed postings. She envies my courage to have bolded a place we find rife with rudeness. She asks me if I miss Italian men. I miss inhabiting a musical language, losing myself on trains, and deliveries of bottled water to my doorstep at no charge. Italians would be warmer to her if she dressed spiffily, but she refuses to follow convention and get decked out to pick up a daily paper. When I tell her I met someone, I sense the envy in her email speak. She then reveals that she left London for a man in Florence, a married writer she hoped would leave his fussy American wife. Darn that we both still want it. But he's a musician who barely works, I add. I'm sure she sees through the deception. After years of infrequent dates with well-dressed, vain, sexually confused Mamoni, how can I hide my joy at dating an American? And from my new book, Poets Talk. This was inspired by hearing a poet. I love how the poet flips out his flip phone while reading a piece that disparages his students who keep their faces affixed to smarter phones. Kudos to that poet who bemoans the state of human interaction, disuse of eye contact when talking. I'd have stuck to my flip phone, but it stopped ringing. Friends and family balk at talk. I spend silent days writing verse on a computer screen and quiet nights conversing through text on a phone screen with friends and family who've lost their voices. And this is moving sideways. I was born under the sign of Cancer, and I discovered that that little 69 looking symbol means moving sideways. Who would have known? They know when the moon is full. They don't have to cop a glance. When they go slightly mad, when waves of melancholy hit without human provocation, Lunar Mother holds court. Moon children help rule the heavens, move with the moods of the moon, travel sideways, upwards, backward. They wear their hearts everywhere, shy away from confrontation, retreat into their shells when life gets real. Cardinal of the stars, but so soft and reticent, overly protective at all costs. They harbor wanderlust, but always return home. King Crimson serenaded Moonchild in their '69 album, fettered their tendency to sail the world. Moonchildren top their zodiac brethren in storytelling, recall all and take vengeful action if necessary. Don't underestimate the power of their claws. They absorb any energy that touches them. But don't call them Cancer, that wishy-washy water sign. Moon children are alluring and enigmatic. They're otherworldly, wielding bouquets of indigo blue larkspur. Their signature flower sprouts spurs, not delicate petals. Moonstone gems shimmer from their fingers as lunar ladies flirt with danger, never want to feel safe. Borrowed souls turning the world into magic. Moonchild's destination is the heavens, to sing upon the stars. And when art is fun. This was inspired by a gallery exhibit from Jeff Koons. A voluptuous turquoise Fanciulla clutches a bouquet of real flowers. Magenta-hued Venus of Willendorf poses in a beaded hat. Massive balloons twisted into animal shapes, a red dog with long erect tail, a gold bunny alert to voices. Is that a blue swan or a phallus? Mirrors of colored chrome reflect the gallery walls and paintings. Whimsical, playful, free. I can see myself in the art. And this was inspired by finally studying Portuguese to go to Brazil with my friends here on an expiation trip. Learning Brazilian. I no longer roll my R's, I get nasal. Lost as I am in learning a new language. Portuguese always held a special mystique. This begins to wane as I enter its world. Master new sounds. Grapple with word endings. Finally understand what Joe Beam's lyrics mean. Brazilians insist sadness belongs in love songs. Saudade is foreign to strangers who don't come from this land of samba, of happy people who celebrate the passion of longing. And for another kind of class, this is abs class. I'm getting a rush from the music more than the movement. Is he sending me a message through these tunes? Song after song transports me. I haven't heard some of this in years. He walks up to me, lifts my body, and looks into my eyes. He shouldn't be doing this, singling me out. I have great form, unless he wants to, feels compelled to. I wish the class endured another half hour. I want more time to tap the euphoria. Need to muster up the courage to ask him how he knew that the songs meant a lot to me at one time. But his body's too perfect. He must go all ways. He's an Adonis, and I gave up European men long ago. And I'm going to read some brevitas poems. You know, they're short, and to give you a sampling of what Ron, Hal, and I share twice a month. Apple Gala. Unlike Cezanne, I see more than beauty in the fruit. I bite into Gala apples all fall and winter long, golden red, symbols of temptation, knowledge, immortality, swear by their health power. Indulging in apples belongs to my lineage. I see my mother edging to the massive crystal bowl, grabbing a small red delicious each night, insisting they keep her young. Home for lunch to check the mail, I hear my father tearing into a big red delicious. He had no time for flaccid apples, and neither do I. Natural blonde. Distinguished by royal Spanish blood, brown eyes, and white highlights, her pedigree demands that her hair gleam like a freshly minted gold coin. She stands apart from the pack, graces ancient oriental paintings, lends pageantry to parades. Distant cousin to Pegasus, Trigger, Mr. Ed. The Palomina's ancestors befriended Native Americans. Together, they helped settle the new frontier. Poetry on demand. In his innocence, he asked me to write poems, supplies the titles. How could he understand the test of mining tales from the soul, reliving death and resurrection, camouflaging mendacity, unmasking his loved ones? I doubt I ever possessed my nephew's purity at the tender age of 6. This is Philadelphia inspired. It's called Live at Noon. XPN has free at noon concerts every Friday. We tend to congregate when we can. With her shock of white hair and skeletal demeanor, St. Vincent commandeered the guitar. Her powerful voice beguiled the mix of hippies and hipsters who gravitate to the World Cafe for free music, Fridays at noon. I came for the company, a long-ago friend who once shared adventures of musicians, before I conquered Italy and fashion glossies, and she stayed close to home to breed kids and divorces. Lessons learned from Moss. I learned the art of detachment from a destructive past, romanticized by poets whose origins go back millions of years. Celestial nomads that feast on leather, wool, silk, felt, and thrive on night taught me to let go of longing. Animals stuffed with memories, dolls from a distant dad, an embroidered coat from Gimbals. When I returned to my late mother's home, white larva-covered, elegant outfits, soles felt from Ferragamo pumps. Moss cunningly coached me to occupy now, not dwell in closets lined with past lives, nor focus on nostalgia, tarnished by death and deceit. And Men of the Cloth. This was inspired by a documentary film of the same name some of you might have seen. The director is Vicky Vasilopoulos, who also worked at Women's Wear Daily, I think around the same time I did in the 90s. They wield needles, tape lines, and scissors, use fine fabric canvases to fashion suits of gold, transform everyday people into figures of position. 3 proud Italians with creative temperaments, like Joseph Centofanti, who survived 5 years exile in a Kenyan internment camp, brought his passion to Ardmore, Pennsylvania. At 90, he trains a young apprentice who longs to be part of this fading tradition, catering to clients who shun throwaway chic for fit, buy beautiful clothes with interiors to match, from masters of the cloth, yet to be replaced by factories. And I'm going to read 2 more. I haven't read this in a long time, but a poet in New York, Ronnie Norpel, who's a Philadelphia native, went to University of Penn, and she runs an open mic up there. Oh, really? Hi. Oh, hi. Ronnie's wild. She liked this, and it picked me, I thought, I haven't read this in a long time. Mourning the Classics. Long gone is the glow framed in black and white. The expression star no longer fits. Smiles don't dazzle on bodies or carved. Culture has become glamour starved. A spin machine replaced spontaneity. Publicists and stylists make the calls. Sex lost its alluring mystery. The classics took a fall. Pop one culture, it's all a blur. The songs and films and TV. Where's the substance? A heartthrob or 2. I'm not cut out for reality. And I'm going to end with the title poem to Kamikaze Dance. It's not funny, but it's got Philly in it. So, when Kamikaze touches down, leaves chat, trees prance, spirits whirl. In a lover's trance, all nature stirs, birds aflutter, their melodious arias in sync. A teasing sun plays hide and seek, casts shadows on the Orfento Valley's lush green, dares the clouds to reply. Woman of earth, I was parched for breezes, danced my childhood days in windswept Philadelphia, chasing destiny. Mountain days here in Abruzzo's ancient spa town of Caramanico Terme transport me back through the wind's whispers and roars, where the adjacent park's wild residents rhapsodize away the indigo evenings as I seek shelter under chameleon skies and again dance with trees. Thanks for coming out, and I know Elliot's going to be selling books downstairs if anyone's interested. I know Ron brought a selection. Ron's prolific, and Hal, and my new book's down there, and there's some snacks and wine, water in the back, so feel free.